Hello and welcome back. So let's take a look at how we can bump things out using displacement map or height map basically. So to get it work properly, we have to go to the height map we created here. Now we want to actually save it, and we want to save it into a very unique format. The format will be a XR. So let me save it to the frame folder, and it's going to be OpenXR. And the file name, I'm going to call this frame height underscore 16-bit. Okay, and then save it. It is 16-bit. It just becomes 8-bit when you export it as toggle. Okay. Anyway, so now it's 16-bit XR. That should be good enough. So I'm going to go back here to the AI image here. For this last one, I haven't connected yet. I'm going to go change it to the height 16-bit and open that. Okay, so this is going to be our height, and that should be then connected to the shader shading group. So I'm going to go minimal drag it. Oh, it's actually over here. Minimal drag it to the displacement map material. Okay, all right. And then we can do a render. Oh, actually one more thing. You need to grab the model and go to the shape node. Okay, go to the Arnold section. You want to check on the subdivision. I use color Clark, and iteration should be something like 5 or 6, and this will smooth out the model. Now, one more thing to be really aware of is that if this is a wall, then when you smooth it, it becomes rounded here. So you either just add a little edge loop here to lock it there. That's gonna help, or you tell Maya to use linear. That should also work. Either way, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna go delete history, but most of the cases you want it to be rounded up a little bit more, so you probably don't want to use linear in this case. Anyway, so I'm gonna go not in this case, but in some other cases. Anyway, so now we can take a look at what we have. Displace value is 1. Let's take a look when I do a render. Okay, you can see it starts to sync. It doesn't start rendering right away. That means it's trying to do that displacement. But something looks really weird here. You can see that line there, right? Let me actually zoom in and take a look. You can see, well, it seems like it's bumping out from that outer edge. Okay, let me grab the AI image here and turn on the solo and disable that locking. And solo again, you can see the height map is over there. You can put your finger there, right? You can take a look. It's right there, right? So it's fun. The height is fun, not AO. Sorry, did I say AO? Anyway, so this is fun, right? This height is fun. So the reason again is Maya cheated by using alpha instead of using the actual color. So you have to say, okay, alpha is the luminance, which does it have it here? Maybe not. Let's actually open the color. We can just use any color here. So let me just drag that line and reconnect that to the R channel. That should fix it right away. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the render. Okay, and tell Arnold to go to render and update the full scene. Okay, let me zoom out, maybe to this particular angle. Let's take a look at the render one more time by hitting the render. Okay, and let it sync. Okay, maybe I need to go closer. You can see a little bit bump. Let me make it stronger. Then I'm gonna go to the displacement shader and say, okay, let me make it, I don't know, 10 times stronger, right? And take a look. Okay, you can see Maya stops rendering. It starts to think about the bumpness, and you can see now it's bumping out. Okay, let me zoom out and take a look. You can see that area is bumping out nicely. Now, of course, it's a little bit rounded. That's probably because we need a little bit more subdivision level. So I'm going to change that to 7. And I should be able to get that work better. Okay, but don't crack that up too much, because you know that that's really expensive actually to calculate. So Maya is still thinking. Okay. One more little thing here is that when you're doing this kind of thing, you can also check on auto bump, so that way when Arnold finds out that it cannot really represent all the details, it will use auto bump to fake it. Okay, I guess 7 is too much. Arnold is pretty capable of handling very heavy models, but that's probably like an overkill for this. The better solution for this is you model something like this and put it in there. Okay, now this is just a little practice for us to know how to work with those nodes. This is not a very good example on how to exactly make this. You should actually model it. I don't think 6 changes 7 changes too much, so I'm gonna fall back to 6 for the iteration. But nonetheless, this is good technique if you want to use it in situations like maybe you want to have some kind of like a paint on it. You can of course do that using the same technique. You know what? Let's just do that right here. May not be a good choice to do, but something we could have some fun with. And by the way, this AI image have something really cool though. If you want to change, let's say, I think it's a little bit too shiny, so I'm gonna go to the specular roughness here. This guy, I'm gonna multiply it or offset it offset it up. So now you can see it's basically really quickly can allow you to make the roughness a bit rougher, so that way it doesn't become super shiny when it's really close to the light. Okay. All right, let me go back here to this particular angle. All right, so let's actually add one more layer just to have some fun with it. That layer should be actually in between. So I'm gonna grab all these guys and drag them away. Also include those guys. So drag them away here, and I need to insert something in the middle. So that's gonna be another AI mix shader here. Okay, I'm gonna delete that shading group. I don't really need a shading group. Grab that and minimal drag the wall to the shader 1. And then this mix shader goes to the original input that the wall was connected to. Okay, so we're basically inserting another one now in the middle. So we can call this guy wall with maybe paint. Okay, then for this one, I kind of wanted to blend in another AI standard surface. Okay, I'm gonna delete that, and then I'm gonna connect this guy to the shader 2. Okay, so now it's blending by 50%. Okay, that's not what I want. So I'm gonna change this guy's appearance a little bit before I do anything. So it should be fairly sharp if I'm painting, making some kind of like a rough concrete, kind of like a paint. Okay, so it should be rougher, and then color can be a bit darker also. All right, I'm gonna call this one paint underscore material. Okay. Now I can maybe just borrow the grunge map I was using earlier for yeah, this one, the grunge map I was using. Okay, so I'm gonna go drag this guy down there, and this guy also goes to the, see, you know what, I'm gonna create a different one because I kind of wanted to be able to freely change the size, and this one is already controlled nicely. I don't want to change the size of that one, so I'm gonna drag in another grunge map for this mix weight. So I'm gonna go there and go to file, and then I'm gonna go pick another grunge map, the same one actually, just to be able to have it in and use it differently. Let's see, where does those guys go? Okay, so wall with paint, and that's the material. Okay, so let me grab these guys and pin them. Oops. Pin them. I don't know why Maya rearranges things. It's so annoying. It's been the most annoying thing I've seen inside of Maya. Anyway, so we have the file now that's governing it. You can see it becomes totally this one. Now I guess you see the problem here. It's still using alpha again, so I'm going to change that to use alpha is luminous. Now you can see we're blending those two materials, right? We have the paint material on the bottom, on the top, and we have the concrete on the bottom. And we can then use texture 2D to change it. Maybe I can repeat it twice on this direction. Maybe not that much, 1.5, I guess. Okay, I can maybe even shift it, so I'm gonna try to offset it by 0.5. Okay, to offset that away. All right, now for those things I kind of wanted to bump them out. I could use the same one to bump it out, so this grunge map can be the bump map. So I'm gonna go open the geometry and minimal drag it over to the bump mapping. Okay, drag that bump map into position, hit P button to pin it. Now you can see we're bumping things out. It's not that easy to see. Is it because it's also using, it should be okay actually this time. Let me change that value to 3. And now you can see it's bumping out. I can go to render and then update full scene just to be safe. You can see now we have this extra random like paint now bumping out from the bottom concave area. We achieved that using the same kind of like AI mix shader, right? So very useful shader here. Okay, you can use it to add a lot of layering information, and you can basically this is basically Substance Designer. It doesn't have all the powers, not even close actually, but it's good enough for developing. If you have a bunch of already good looking textures and materials, you can blend them this way. Okay, all right, cool. So we can say, okay, I want this one to have some more variation here, maybe some bumpness. Okay, and I could do that. All I have to do is I can go create a AI noise node. Okay, I put it into the mix. So here, before we path into bump 2D, we can say let's add extra noise. So I'm gonna create a, this time maybe just AI multiply. Okay, and then multiply the file node with the AI noise, and the result goes to the bump value. Okay, alt color R goes to the bump value. Actually, I can do this. Hit 3 to open that, and hit 3 to open that, and then just connect R to the bump value. Yeah, that should allow me to do it really quickly. Now you can see we have a lot of noise added to this. Okay, that's probably too much noise. let me grab that and take a look at the noise. You can see, wow, that's actually pretty high density. So I'm going to change it to something smaller. So go to the scales. I'm going to change this guy to 0.2 and this guy to 0.2 also. Yeah, that's a much subtle or bigger noise. Maybe a little bit smaller. So 0.4 and maybe 0.8. Yeah, that should be fine. And also, I don't want it to be that high contrast, so I'm going to crank up the color too, so it's not that strong. Now our multiplication would be still having some variation now, right? So this is before it's really flat in the middle. I added extra noise by using the AI noise node. And now what we have is basically a little bit more noisy surface when we take a look at the final result. Okay. All right. Cool. Now you can see we have this one extra layer of paint on top. And I think it has everything I kind of want. Maybe it's still too noisy, so I'm gonna maybe drag that up. So that the multiplication will, if it's all white, then the multiplication will not do anything. Okay, so I'm just trying to make it weaker. All right. Maybe I can lower it down. Go into the offset from 5. See what we have here. 0.2. Okay, 0.1. Yeah, I don't want a lot. Maybe that's better. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's gonna be one more thing we can do with this. So let's move on to the next video. We can talk about some other possible things we can just, make more variations to this graphic. One thing I think I can do is maybe, do some trick on other parts. We have been working on this wall for the longest time, right? So let's move on to something else in the next video. Okay, see you next time.